Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I want to do a little bit of unboxing, a little bit of sneak previewing, and just a little bit of Ask the Nick. So, welcome to the chat, everybody. At least, well, it's still showing 0, but hopefully some people are going to show up here one of these days. Regardless, what I've got here on the table are a couple of interesting things. Hey people, there you go. I've got right here a Spyderco Endura in Pakkawood. I've got myself the production model Boost Blades Aero. I've got a ZT 0055, 0920, and then I've got this little guy right here. This is a knife you've seen before, actually, in a live Ask Nick, but with a couple of slight changes here. I'll start off. I'll go ahead and start off by trying... Sorry, I'm reading these comments. Michael Shehorn says, I bet I could eat more eggs than you. Yes, Michael, that is almost 100% true. Anyways, I don't understand the world some days, but hey, whatever. We'll start off with this little guy. This right here is the Spyderco Endura in HAP 40 steel. And more specifically, HAP 40 with the Pakkawood handle, which is a very, very, very interesting little knife here. Many of you may know that I picked up this little guy, the Delica, in the same configuration maybe a month ago. I don't know how long it's been there. But nonetheless, it's pretty nice. I carried this guy pretty much exclusively on a road trip recently and just fell in love with the Delica all over again because you get a better steel, you get a really beautiful handle, and you get you miss a lot of the issues that make the Delica problematic, namely that disassembly. And so, when I got home, I realized, okay, the Enduras are not going to last forever, and indeed, the Delica is already sold out in this configuration. But the Endura, I'd been going back and forth on it, and then realized, okay, you know what, I like the Delica a lot, let's just freaking do it, and so I did it. And I'm kind of glad that I did do it, because it's just... I love the Endura because I love the Delica. It's just a long Delica, and so I can see both of these having a nice role in my life. And so I picked the other one up, and I'm just got this guy today, and there's a lot of joy here. 100%. Next sneak preview I'm going to do here is... Sorry, watching the chat go by. A buddy of mine sitting in a small town in Poland watching this. Well, enjoy. I hope this is a polar opposite of how your day's been going if it's been bad. That was terrible. This little guy right here is the ZT 0055. This is a very weird knife. 1000% bizarre, crazy, weird knife. All the more so when I actually disassembled it and realized that the flipper tab here is actually on a separate set of bearings. There is a 4-bearing knife, so keep an eye out for my disassembly video on this little guy. But this is a 4-bearing flipper tab knife, which is kind of crazy, 100%. And so that's interesting. Also, the design is a little crazy. It's a GTC, which means it looks kind of like a Batarang, because that's how he rolls. And so, interesting knife, perhaps not, well, I'm not going to spoil the review, but it's an interesting knife at 100 freaking percent. So yeah, 055, and then there's this guy. This right here, this very murdery little guy, is the ZT 0920. This is a knife that, actually, these two knives, I handled both of these at the Blade Show. Because they had them both there at their booth at ZT. And I was kind of surprised. I thought I was going to like this guy more and like this guy less, but it actually turned out that pretty immediately upon handling it, this one wasn't so interesting, namely because it's super thick behind the edge and just weird. And this guy turned out to be very interesting because it's ergonomic, because it's very, very nicely done. It's got a huge grind, which is kind of meant to cut things. The recurve I could probably do without, but you know what? It's well done. And, you know, the knife on the whole makes a really interesting design statement. It is a very pretty knife. So aside from a couple of small issues, namely the fact that this clip doesn't have enough ramp, there is a lot to love here. It is, however, huge and murdery. I mean, seriously, guys, we're looking at let's see here, blade length-wise, damn near 4 inches, which is a little bit crazy. But you know what? If you're going to make damn near 4 inches a knife, this isn't a bad way to do it. And gives me a lot of respect for Les George's design. So aside from being a little bit murdery, I think there's a lot to love there. And I think this is one of the more interesting things that ZT has put out lately. So yeah, great question. Happy birthday there, Mr. Meeseeks. Hopefully it's actually a birthday. The Killer Clock asks, are there grinds that aren't meant to cut things? Yeah, they're absolutely 100%. Lately in the knife world, there is a tendency towards overbuilt, towards knives that are just like, oh my god, we're going to make something that is a freaking pry bar that you can also cut with. You know, things like, I pick on Bedford a lot, but that's been his sin historically. They're doing a little better about that. Which is kind of cool, actually. But anyways, there were a lot of grinds out there that are just not stellar cutting tools. This guy right here is not a super incredible cutting tool. It's pretty damn thick right there behind the edge. Whereas this guy is doing a little bit better, which I appreciate very much. So yeah, unfortunately, that's an issue. But the big question there is, what's in the box? And that is an interesting question indeed. I actually know part of what's in this box, but let's go on ahead and unbox this together. By the way, if something goes amiss, you know, if this box explodes in some way, shape, or form, blame Spade Knife Works. I'm just establishing a trail of evidence here. This box is directly from him, and so, you know, yeah, FYI. It's a tracking device or a mirror or something trolly. We'll find out. But hopefully, instead, it's something pretty excellent. At least I know half of it is. Let's see here. Come on, you little bastard. Oh, look! Business cards! That was subtle of you there, Spady. He asked specifically that I unbox this live. Okay, there's a letter. And there's something else here. So I sent this out to him. I'm very curious what this letter says. None of this is ticking, which is good. Okay. He has given me a letter in 3 different languages. And the Russian is absolutely Google Translate. Oh, wow, is that Google Translate. Although Google Translate's getting surprisingly good lately. And, yeah, this is absolutely Google Translated. But anyways, hey, thanks there, Spady. First off, thanks for sending in the Anthem to work on. Spoiler alert. I sent him a Z-Hunter as well. Something he wanted to raffle. A little too big, not my style, but knows I'll love it. Thanks again for the Z-Hunter. Oh, that's very, very nice. So we'll start off with the Anthem here. Oh, he put a little card in there again. Very subtle there, Spare. Holy crap, is that pretty. So this is the new Benchmade Anthem. Well, it's the old Benchmade. Holy crap, that edge, too. That is... That's freaking pretty. Look at that. Wow. Action solid. This, my friends, is an improvement. This is just deeply, deeply an improvement. This knife started off with a nice, not nice whatsoever, anodization in some kind of a bronze color, and it was just freaking ugly. Wow. Well, I dare say it will cut. Well freaking done there, Spady. This is a gorgeous knife, and the anodization that he did looks really great too. He blasted it first and then anodized it, so hot damn, that's pretty. Well done. Yeah, this guy's gonna stick around. I freaking love that. I really hope Benchmade does something similar in the future. This knife was just begging for a better coloration. Now let's see what this other thing is. No hint from the case. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I'm dying over here. This is so bad. Okay, I gotta get back to speech here. I'm reluctant to even flip it out. Oh, good lord. With the, I, well then, so I'm loving many aspects of this knife here immediately. But the anatomical impossibility of it's really what's doing it for me, because you get a spine protruding up through the skull and everything. Oh, good lord. And the rib cage, and they even cut out holes in the liners for the rib cage. That's seriously, that's something else. Now I gotta say, Spade, I'm a little disappointed that this doesn't come with a Spade Knife Works edge, because that is not a. Yeah, I think it's dull now. Oh, look, it's engraved. I just noticed that. That's really, that's scary. Frightening, actually. Kill it quick. No, alas, this is... Oh, and look at that centering, guys. This is just... Oh, man. And see, tomorrow I'm going to be struggling, because I'll wake up in the morning. Oh, and of course, left side, tip down, only carry. Because why not? I'm going to be struggling because, you know, at some level I'm going to want to carry the Benchmade, but then I've got this guy here, which is engraved. It's been masterfully engraved. Oy, oy, oy. People are telling me to kill this with a hammer. This kind of knife is something that's bad enough that you actually need to, you know, cast it into the fires of Mount Doom. It's a slightly different approach. Holy hell. Spade, where the hell did you find this? This is bad, but like, this is impressively bad. Amazon, yeah, maybe. Holy crap. I mean, Elephant Tri-City is saying, you know, it's kind of a cool concept, and I can kind of see that. Like, it's like a weird folding hookless carumbit / carpet knife. Yeah, that's what I look at when I see this. This is a carpet knife, 100%. But what if the Z-Hunter mates with that monstrosity here? We'll let them exchange loving glances right here on the table here. Holy crap. I'm seeing chemistry here, guys. I don't know. Wow. Every knife on my table is just getting worse and worse as I'm sitting here watching this. That's pretty spectacular. Yeah, it does have a finger choil, which is, as he damn well knows, the way to my heart. Oh, wow. That's pretty great. Well, thank you very much, Spady, for providing me with a knife that is so terrible that it left me speechless. Because, holy crap. Yeah, there's chemistry here, guys. I'm going to leave these two in a dark closet and see what emerges in the morning. It'll be pretty terrible. But I think I may actually like this knife a little bit better. This is a very nicely done job here. I'm looking at it here to nitpick. He had some substantial trouble getting the... getting this little guy off of here. They used some sort of a serious thread locker coupled with a weird screw, because you do need to remove this for anodization, apparently. But it's all good there. Luckily, there is no play or anything like that. One of the concerns that you always have if you blast something is that you'll remove too much, and that might cause play. But in this case, there is none of that going on, which is great. And the action is still very nice, and... yeah. The other thing that he did, as I recall, is that he put a light chamfer on the inside of this little guy, which is something that it really needed. Something I could have done myself, but it would have screwed up the anodization. But now he's done it separately. So that's a pretty great thing. Let's see here. Peter Richards says you really need to get a custom clip that doesn't look like the male genitalia. Yeah, that's a good idea. This knife, more than anything else, requires a good clip. And Benchmade didn't include one. But I'm hoping that sooner or later, one of these days, they're going to get into it. And holy crap, guys. Wow. And that edge, too. Like hashtag face reveal on this edge. That's pretty serious. Very impressive. Studded for her pleasure. This right here is scaring me a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and move these two lovebirds off screen because... Yeah, that's getting them seen pretty quickly there. One other thing I wanted to show off of these, this guy right here. This is the Boost Blade Smoke, which Spady said that this knife is very, very. Oh, sorry to cockblock you there. Said is very similar, which is hilarious. This is the full production version of it, which is interesting. I'm going to do a video comparing my prototype to the full production version, but I had mentioned in one of my live streams that as long as the prototype was as good as the real thing, or I'm sorry, the full production was as good as the prototype, it was going to be a great knife. Well, guess what? It is, and it's going to be a great knife. Unfortunately, it's also a great sold-out knife. But my buddy Booze is doing another run of these, and there will be more available later on down there. So that's something to keep in mind. It's a really, really nice little knife, though. A joy to carry, and the little improvements, like lengthening the clip, adding a little bit of scalloping here, made a big difference in improving this even better there. Let's see here. Hovantia Knives asks, please talk about the Pakkawood Endura in comparison to your Delica. I've been on the fence way too long, and I want to decide before it's too late. I like the control I have with the Delica's blade. So, Hovan, that's a great question. Oh, God, those knives are still over there. I'm going to, cover those two up with something so I'm not looking at... Oy, oy, oy. So, sure, they Hovan. Spady, oi, oi, oi. These two knives are very different. I mean, I don't know that my Endura review is up yet. Maybe it is. Who knows? It will be if it isn't. But the Endura, to my mind, the very best thing you can say about it is that it is a huge Delica, and that has some advantages. Namely, ergonomically speaking, it's actually a little nicer than your Delica, because there's a little more to grab onto, and it fits in the hand a little bit better. See, it's a little taller, a little wider, etc. But so that is one advantage of the Endura. The other one being just raw blade length. I mean, seriously, the Endura is coming in at what is it? That's coming in at 3.5 inches. Actually, it's not as long as it seems. Oh well, that's from the plunge. It's coming in at almost 4 when you include the ricasso and everything on there. So, yeah. The Endura, though, has a bunch of good to it. I personally, for my life, the Delica is probably going to get a little bit more carry, but this is a nice enough edition of the Delica that, given that there was limited availability, I picked one of these guys up. I don't know if it's going to stick around forever and ever, but I love this guy. This was a great tool for me, and I wanted to go there. One other area where the Endura really does excel is in food prep and those kinds of tasks, because you can see here that although it's longer than the Delica, blade thickness-wise, it's not actually much thicker, which is nice. It's still a very, very slicey blade, and that's something I appreciate very much. This is a knife that excels at things like food and apples and things like that. So very, very much an interesting knife, and it's something I'm glad that I did pick up. You know, it's not inexpensive, so especially in this configuration, but especially moving past VG10 and getting ZDP or something that is a higher quality with this handle, I'm pretty happy here. So I'm a big, big fan of that. That's a very, very nice little knife. Well, huge knife, but I'm also a big, big fan of the Delica. And so my overall recommendation to people is that if you want just a pocket knife, the Delica is probably going to be a better choice. But the Endura is, if you need something way bigger, it's a pretty good way to go too. So yeah, unfortunately, like I said, the Delicas are sold out for the moment. If Knife Center is at all intelligent, these are both Knife Center exclusive, by the way. If Knife Center is at all intelligent, they will be reordering these right freaking now and trying to get as many out as they can, because this has been received like a sprint, not a lot of other sprint runs out there. I mean, this is a much more interesting and much more different thing that I'm aware of. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing is that this is, it's called Pakkawood, but it's the same thing as diamond wood or other. It's a synthetic sort of wood ply with resin thing. So it's very stable, it's very waterproof. It's got a lot of advantages over using conventional wood here. So, that's something that's a big plus for me as well. But a lot of people are saying they should do different woods. Maybe they can, maybe they can't, I don't know. But that's a really good question there. Oh, God, I just looked over at this freaking abomination again. Holy crap, guys. It's Pakkawood, P-A-K-K-A Wood, not Pekkawood, not like Pekka. Different thing entirely there. Say and kill it with fire. Somebody was just asking about these two knives, the ZT 055 versus the 920 here. In a lot of ways, they are similar in ZT's lineup. They're both using the black hardware. They're both using the titanium. They're both crazy designs by crazy designers. But I really, really, really like this guy a lot more. This is a knife that puts style first, 100%. And I'm sneak previewing my review here. But you buy this knife if you love the look of this knife. The flipper tab is a great idea. This disappearing flipper tab is the best thing that this knife has going for it, even if it is a little bit finicky, 100%. But the flipper tab is the best thing this knife's got going for it. This guy, though, is a good all-arounder. And with only a couple of exceptions, namely the size can be a problem, the recurve can be a little weird for people, and this clip needs a little more ramp. This is a really solid little everyday carry sort of tool. And then throw in the blade steel, which is 20 CV on this guy versus S35 VN here. For me, at least, the choice is pretty easy. If you said, Nick, you can only have one of these, it's this 100 freaking %. And by the way, I do want to thank very much my viewers who sent this along. This is from a guy named Gavin Reddick, and this guy, I think his name was Zeus's Butthole on Instagram or something along those lines. Yeah, I just said those words. Go figure, right? Woody Infermo says, did this appear after a satanic invocation? You're going to have to talk to Spady on that one. His eternal soul is the one in danger here. So, but yeah, I am a big fan of this knife here, and just the action, the lockup on it. It's one of these simple thing done well sorts of knives that I like a lot. So I need to carry it more. I need to, come to terms with all aspects of it. This is the first day I've had it, and so it's been in my pocket for like an hour and a half total. But so far, what I see, I like. How does it cut? Well, hey, I've got a nice supply of things to cut with. Well, it cuts like a ZT. It will cut. It's not super slicey, it's not super effortless, but it's a lot better than, for instance, this little guy right here. Which, again, can cut, but it's just not a great experience. So, yeah. The other thing that I'll highlight here is that this flipper tab is really, really finicky. I did my disassembly the other day, and I took this all the way apart. Unfortunately, though, in the time since, it no longer reliably snaps back to its prior location. And I'm not quite sure what's causing that. It is a very, very finicky system, so I'm going to need to pop this guy open again. And that's not quite ideal. I'll figure that out, though. Either way, very, very complicated little system there. ATAC asked, did I ever snuggle with Epic Snuggle Bunny? I have not. I have not. Epic Snuggle Bunny's a great guy, but I believe he's got somebody, and he's probably not my type anyways. So, yeah, that's a great question there. Maybe the lube is worse, causing friction issues. That could well be. Or my suspicion, considering that there's right now 0 spring, is that the spring actually just came unseated in there, which is not a big deal, but it is. It's something I'll have to get to. Either way, when you have a finicky system like that, it can have finicky problems. Yeah, Bryce, that's certainly he's telling me how to do it. Like, yeah, that's what it did. Somebody is asking there about what is my favorite knife company. That's a really good question. That's also a really hard question, because there are a lot of companies whose work I really love, but are relatively small and haven't done much work. The Grimsmo Knives is a company that's way up there, because I love the Norseman, I love the Rask. Oh, they're both in the other room at the moment, damn it. But they've only done 2 knives, and they're very expensive, and they're hard to get and whatnot, so it's hard for me to call that a favorite sort of an affair. Here, I'll put some more on the table to make things interesting here. Go put that guy here, your Benchmade bug out. Bocaco Patriotica. And the other companies like, okay, ZT, I like what they do by and large, but what they do is by and large not for me. They're making big murdery beasts like this guy, the 0452, and so by and large what they're making isn't up my alley anyways. Kershaw usually goes a little cheaper than I like. Same thing with CRKT. For me, personally, I think it's probably going to be Spyderco. And, my reason for that is just that they've made some of my favorites, like the Delica, like the Sleesh Bowie, Swish. Damn it, I'm trying to say it right these days. And by and large, I think their goals align with my goals. Functional cutting tool with good ergonomics. And so that's probably where I'm going to land. That said, that's not like to exclusion. But chances, like if somebody came to me and offered me the terrible deal of, Nick, you will only be able to buy knives from one brand again for the rest of your life, I'd probably go with Spyderco. They get things right more often, at least right to my personal aesthetic and view. And given, for some people, ZT is going to be the business. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe Benchmade? I don't know. So either way, a Lamic is another great example of that, actually, is another great contender for this. In that a lot of their mid-tech line is just like, yes, I want this too. So, yeah. Choose Cold Steel. Oh, Cold Steel. They've got some good things going too. Absolutely 100%. God, I love this color. This, for those of you coming in late, this is a Benchmade Anthem that Spade Knife Works sent, which is just beautiful. He also evened out the edge bevel, by the way, which is nice and isn't something that I should have to have somebody else do. This is his edge on it, not mine. But, wow. That freaking color is just way better. 100% way better. The cost on the anno job, oh God, guys, never use the term anno job on a live stream, particularly if you're speaking the Spanish. But anyways, I forget exactly what it was because there was a trade offer. Because I ended up selling him my PM2 that was an M4 steel because, frankly, I never carried it, and why bother having a really nice sprint run sort of PM2 when I could just get this little guy, which I got used, and, so we basically sold it to him, and then he paid me the extra, covered that and whatnot. So yeah, the Anthem matches a lot of my other favorite knives, and that's 100% true good. So yeah, Benchmade should put the blue version in production. Yes, they should. They should also put one in production with regular blade bevels. Just freaking saying. Little thing. Does the Anthem have ball bearings? Or, yes, it does. Is there a liner for them to ride on? No, there is not. That's one of those things that's going to be something I'm curious about over time. Because it is possible that the bearings could dig into the titanium or could dimple into the titanium, which would be a bigger issue still. I'm not super concerned about it, given that this guy, the construction of it will allow me to tighten this down over time as it needs, but it is something that I'm kind of keeping an eye out for. It's one of those things that I feel like I maybe should get more bent out of shape about, but practically speaking, it's also one of those things that I think most people are never going to actually test. So, yeah, that's a great freaking knife. As far as I know, I've not seen any of these with a custom anodization yet, so, but I'm sure they're going to be coming, 100%. Crypto Cognomen, interesting name, is asking me when a PM2 in Maximet will release. He's talking about the Spyderco PM2 in Maximet steel. I don't know that. Obviously, I don't work for Spyderco. I don't have a damn clue about any of that stuff. I find out around the same time you guys do. But that said, it's something you should take a look at. If you like the PM2 but you want a really, really high-performing steel, Maximet has impressed the heck out of me. I'm going to do a video about that soon, but Maximet is just one hell of a steel. And ever since I got mine replaced, it is really, really, really performing great. So, big fan of the Maximet, and I think on the PM2 it's going to be hit out of the park. The one thing to keep in mind, though, is that Maximet is not the most rust-resistant steel. And although I don't have any spotting on mine, and I've not been particularly careful, so if you're living in, if you're salty, that's probably a bad idea. So, yeah. Coca-Ballo. No, this is Pakkawood. Let's see here. What are the questions? Mike Tremulay asks, what slices like a Delica but looks more normal and not lumpy or murdery? That's a great question there. The best slicing knife that I am aware of is this little guy right here, which is your humble Opinel. This is an old school French knife. I've got a full review up. It's a tactical review, actually, so watch that. Where I discuss this as a high-speed, low-drag tactical tool. But the Opinel is probably the best slicing knife that I'm aware of right now in the knife world. And the beautiful thing about this knife is that it's a locking knife. It's very unintimidating. Mine's been carved down a little bit more over here, just for me to be able to pull it out without using the damn nail nick. But you're paying something like $12 for this. So, yeah. People are asking what happened to my forced patina. So, I have a video about this. I had an Opinel 06. This is the 08. That I put a crazy high-speed, low-drag forced patina on because I accidentally left it in vinegar overnight because I'm not a brilliant man. Oh, God, I just saw this freaking knife again. Oy, oy, oy. But anyways, I'm not a brilliant man, so I put a bad patina on there, and so I ended up giving that away to a buddy of mine who wanted a high-speed, low-drag Opinel. This is one I bought afterwards because it's really, really freaking cheap. So why not? But yeah, very, very nice knife and incredible slicer. 100%. ATEC Review says, pardon me, that Opinels are the most affordable integral knives in the world. That is 100% true. The scales, much like your Anthem here, are one solid chunk of material, except the difference is that this guy is like $500, as well, $475 is done here, and this guy is $12. Slight difference there. Thinner stock, too. Although I gotta say, the Anthem is a pretty nice cutting machine. It's ground very nicely for cutting, and particularly with this nice slicey edge on there. Michael Shehorn is wanting to send me bees. Thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate that, but I don't need any bees at the moment. If I needed to find the competent apiarist, I certainly could. But I appreciate that. Thank you. Thoughts on, let's see, what is the smoothest knife I own? So that would probably be, in terms of bearing smooth, that would be the Grimsmo Norseman, which, like I said, is in the other room right now, so I don't have it on the table. A close second to that is this little guy right here, which is the North Arm Skaha. And, well, okay, maybe the Rask is second, I'm not quite sure. But either way, this is another knife that is just absurdly freaking smooth in a beautiful freaking way. The other thing that I'll highlight, actually, this will be a quick follow-up on my Skaha review. So apparently, the poor guys at North Arm got a bunch of orders when I put my review up there, which is scary for me. You know, all of this power, great responsibility, etc. But, yeah. A buddy of mine, actually two buddies of mine, recently got these guys because I'd kind of tipped them off before my review went live because I didn't know if that was going to be the case. And both of them have had the same experience I have. An incredible detent, an incredible fall shot action, and they have both not had any of the blade shake that this guy does, which is pretty incredible. So I'm really, really happy to hear that, and it makes me feel all the more happy to recommend this knife. If they're all this good and they fixed one of the few bad issues with it, then my God, they're pretty good. So yeah, this is one of the smoother knives. Another one would be the Spyderco Sleesh Bowie. Swish, damn it. And it's a hell of a smooth knife. It's about as smooth as the as like your Sebenz's, but it's a different kind of smooth. So it's something impressive. So yeah. Is that an Endura 4 with wood scales to the right? It sure is. Been talking about that all day there. Let's see here. What is the stupidest jackass knife feature that I've actually kind of liked? That's a great question. What is the stupidest knife feature I've been in love with? So, the Emerson Wave is kind of cool. I will admit this freely. The Emerson Wave is a feature on some folding knives where there is, what's a good, I don't actually have any wave knives. No, I don't think so. But it's, imagine that you have a little horn sticking off the front of this guy, and that will then snag in your pocket and pop the knife open as you pull it out of your pocket. This is something that I didn't find myself using very often, but it is a really, really nice thing. Because if you do need to deploy your knife very quickly, or you just need to do it kind of one-handedly and effortlessly, the wave feature is very effective for doing that. It's not something, like I said, that I found myself using, because a lot of the time I'm, in the lunchroom or something, and if you Emerson wave out a knife in the lunchroom, you're just asking for an arrest. But that's pretty up there in terms of the most jackassy feature I actually like. I also will say, to an extent, recurves can be a beautiful thing. I like it on the Norseman, and maybe I shouldn't call a recurve jackassy, but in some case, it is absolutely showy. It can be nice for cutting in some slicing situations, but, I don't know. That's another one that comes to mind for me. So, yeah. Let's see here. Daniel's asking, what do I think? So the Benchmade Valet is a small version of the 940, and Shinola, the watch company that makes their watches overseas and then claims they make them in Detroit. Yeah, sorry. Long story. But anyways, Shinola has an exclusive version with Benchmade that is crazy expensive, but it's using this same wood sort of scale arrangement. And look, I like the Valet a lot. And the biggest problem with it is that it's got a bright orange backspacer. I'm sure you could swap that out or dye it or something like that. But the thing is, the Valet is nice, but it's not as nice as, for instance, the Anthem here. If I'm going to recommend a Benchmade, this is going to be it. And if you're going to pay a lot of money for a Benchmade, this is the way to do it, 100%. And now that I've got this in my life, I feel like I've got wood. Okay, I'm 12. And so I don't really particularly feel the need for more of it. And, also I've got a Nabby GEC guy, so I think I'm pretty sated there. Let's see here. Yeah, people are laughing at my terrible jokes. Well, maybe laugh isn't the term. Maybe agonizing is a better way to put it there. Let's see here. Somebody's asking for a better look at the Anthem. This is a really, really freaking nice knife. Daniel DeSanto's asking if I've looked at the Lion Steel Roundhead Barlow. This is a, if I'm thinking of the knife he's talking about, this is a Lion Steel slip joint that is with, I think, M390 steel and some nice modern features. I've seen it. I believe it's nail nick only, which makes my soul ache. But at the same time, it is something that's very interesting. So yeah, it's probably not something I would pick up for myself, but I have a viewer who's offered me one, so I may well check it out one of these days. It is pinchable, Daniel. Oh, that's great to hear. I'm glad to hear it. In that case, it becomes much more interesting to me, because a traditional knife with M390 steel is, well, just a beautiful thing. Hey, welcome from New Zealand there. What else we got going on here? Somebody's asking when the CRKT Razel review goes live. That's tomorrow morning. Keep an eye out. Matthias Mertens asked, what's my view on Invictus watches, or Invicta? Invicta watches, they make dive watches that are basically Rolex homages. There's not a lot of respect and love for them in the watch community. They tend to be overpriced and then sold at great discount, when in reality they're pretty cheap. Look, I generally feel about Invicta that if you're going to spend that kind of money, you should get a Citizen Quartz and get a really high-functioning watch rather than an Invicta. The other thing is I'm not a big fan of people who rip off other people's designs. In that case, it's not, there's no legal issue with it. It's just kind of sleazy. Like, okay, come on, Invicta. You can do something original for once. So I'm not a huge fan of them. But that said, they do make some pretty looking watches. One of these days I'll review one on the channel. So that's a great question. Jay Excellent asks, am I going to have a Koenig Arius on the table anytime soon? Yes, probably. They are working on one for me right now, actually. I'm in touch with the Koenig folks, and they've got a backlog, and so I think they're working their way through the customers who ordered prior to me, because I don't want them to treat me any differently. But I'm going to be picking one of those guys up before too long here, and they're going to put a nice polished blade on it. Should be very interesting. Take a look at that there soon. So, yeah. Let's see here. Derek White says, if you could choose Spyderco's next sprint run, what model, steel, and color would it be? Oh, that's a great question. Well, look, they just did this, which is a Delica sprint fixing a lot of my issues. Maybe if they did this with a M390 blade, I'd be even more enthusiastic about it, but that's up there. What's Spyderco? Oh, easy peasy. I would love to see the Spyderco Slish Bowie just in any other steel, in M390, in Maximate, in something like that, even like S110. To see that would be just something incredible. But really, from Spyderco, what I want them to do is more of the sleek knives. I want swish, damn it, swish. I'm trying. I want them to do like the swish slayback that would swish swayback. There you go. That's a tongue twister. Which you've seen pictures of on forums for years, but hasn't come around. The Techno 2 is something that's been oft rumored. That's what they need to be doing, not more freaking sprint runs. We've got enough PM2s, guys. Make me some no swishes. So that'd be an interesting one there. Yeah. Oh, God, guys. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this again. Here, we'll just put these two lovebirds over in the corner here. Oh, the Z Hunter. There you go. They can have fun there. Yeah, any other questions there? What the hell is that? This was given to me by Spade Knife Works, custom engraved, which is pretty hilarious. It's also designed by USA, showing that USA is just an incredible knife designer. Holy crap there, guys. Yeah, oi, oi, oi. Anyways, guys, actually, I think I'm going to go because I am really hungry, and it's time for dinner. So I'm going to go ahead and go have some dinner, but I hope this has been interesting to you, that you enjoyed seeing this brand new Anthem to me, which is just really freaking nice. Big fan of that. That you enjoyed seeing sneak previews of some recent pickups here. Keep an eye out for reviews coming up of a lot of things on this table. Oh, my God, this guy. And that you have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye, everybody.